if you ever wondered, what would WACKA sound like if he was the announcer in Smash? Well, here you go.
God damn, that's a lot of characters.
And that is a lot of characters. And that's not even an extended CSS. Damn, we're going to get into some crazy stuff. Hundreds of characters. And that's going to be the perfect announcer to bring us to that. Have you ever wondered why they didn't add Roy into Brawl? Well, they can't have two Roys in the game, and I didn't know this, but the Pokemon's trainer's name is... Did anyone else know that? I mean, I thought his name was like Ash or something, but no, it was Roy the whole time. And we're gonna get into some... Oh. Hello, and welcome to a Brawl Modding tutorial. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at adding custom sound effects into your game. As you saw in the demonstration, we'll be focusing on the custom announcers and what you can do with that. However, any sound effect in the game can be adjusted the same way, which includes like the noises that characters make when they punch or hit an enemy, or when they jump, or the sounds that the menu makes when you move around. Any sound effect that you can think of will be adjusted in this same way, so you can follow along with what we're doing. In order to be able to do this, you do need a bit of pre-setup. So if you haven't watched my previous video on setting up Dolphin and your virtual SD card with the file patch code, you will need to check that out and get it going so that you have that good to go before you start this. From now on, we will be using that video as the foundation that we'll build upon. So if you don't have it, pause, go check that out and get set up, and then come back when you're ready. Once you have that, we'll also need a couple other pieces of software and, of course, files to replace into the game. So let's get all of the downloads out of the way right at the beginning. We're going to need BrawlBox, our oldest friend. Well, maybe not oldest, but one of our best friends for sure. So grab that guy. Links will be in the description. You'll also want a program called SuperSawndz, which is the program I'm going to be showing off in this video. This is the one that allows us to actually change and preview the sound effects within the game. So download this. You just need this zip file here, which you can extract. Those are the only two programs that we need. So now we just need audio files to put in. I highly recommend that you take some time and check out the Brawl Vault and just look around to get some inspiration. This is one of my favorite ways to, take a look for something that I'm interested in learning how to do. And in the case of sound effects, there's this big button right here, and over here is a custom announcer tab. So you can... Oh, this is some Brawl Vault going on. Let's try that again. Have patience when you use the Brawl Vault. It's getting old, but it will go through eventually. You can hit the announcer and take a look at some things. Remember, there's top downloads and stuff, so there's lots of cool things. Once you found something that maybe you personally like, you can continue on. I've provided the examples in the description as well. We have the Yugioh Countdown that you can download from that link, and we also have some SSBB64 narrations, which we're going to be using 223 as the example here, so you can grab those. Once you have all of that, that's all the files you need. So you should have your Dolphin from before, BrawlBox, SuperSawndz, and then you'll have those two audio files we downloaded. I'll put them over here. The Yugioh and that 223.sound. Now I also have the sound effect that I made, where I just recorded myself into a .wave, as the SuperSawndz program will inject .wave files, so that's the kind of file you need in order to get going. In the Yugioh folder, I just extract this, and we can take a look at that. you can see that they've provided .sound files and .wave files. So those wave files are what we're going to inject. But if you aren't really interested in doing it entirely manually, then you can just find a pack online where they give you the sound file, like this 223.sound from the Super Smash 64 pack. And then you just need to drop this file onto your SD card, which I'll show you later. This is the ultimate thing that gets replaced. The wave files is what's going to help us make these, but if you just want to grab it, ultimately it becomes the .sound. I'll show you where to put that in your SD card later. In order for your Brawl and your Dolphin and your Gecko to be able to replace the code, or sorry, replace the sound effects, we will need to add a code to our codes that we added last time. This is what we're going to be using BrawlBox for in this video, as there is some code editing functionality that we're going to basically be using from this point forward. So that code manager we used in the last video, you can forget about it forever. We're done with that. We're going BrawlBox. Pop open your BrawlBox, just to have it open. We're going to put this over here for the time being. We're going to open up our Dolphin folder. And again, if you haven't watched the last video, or I'm going a little bit too fast when I'm navigating these folders, go and just have a little refresher so that you remember where all this stuff is. We're going to our SD card right now, which is under User, Load, and the folder. And we're going to go into the Codes folder, where we saved this off last time. This is why I save it as a .txt, so I can more easily jump back into it, make an edit, and then convert it into a .gct. Personally, I find it a bit cleaner, but you can do it however you like. Within this file, the text file, we only have two codes from last time, the file patch code and the SDHC extension code. In the description, there will be a copy paste, so give yourself a little bit of room, and we're going to drop in, paste, the replacement Soundbank engine by the God and Legend Dantarion and InternetExplorer. Once you've got that in there, just make sure there's one space in between, and it's all good. You can hit File, Save, just to keep this in your .txt, and we'll close that up because we're done with that for now. We're going to go back over to BrawlBox, and this is where we're going to open that .txt, but we're not going to use Open, we're going to go Tools, Code Manager. Inside of here is some awesome stuff. Now you go File, Open, and you grab your .txt. Here you can see it's reading it all correctly. We just need to enable the file patch code and the replacement Soundbank engine, and we're good to go. Hit File, Save As, click on your .gct, and just overwrite it, because that's what we want to do. Close it up, because we're done with BrawlBox, and that's how easy it is to edit code with BrawlBox, so that's why we're going to use it from now on. We need to now add files to replace onto the SD card, so we're going to jump over into a bit of Dolphin quickly. Open up your Dolphin, and we're going to use that functionality where we can extract from the disk by going Properties, scrolling over to File System, and in this case we're going down to Sound, and we want to grab Smash Bros sound.brsar, and you're going to right click and extract this to your desktop or wherever you'd like. Give it a second, and we're done with this for the time being. This is that BRSAR, and we don't actually use this file in our SD card. However, we need this file so that SuperSawndz can reference it and build the final .sound files that we make. So we just need this to exist, and we'll use it, but ultimately we'll, destroy it and get rid of it. It's no problem. That's all we had to grab from Dolphin for the time being. So now we're going to move into SuperSawndz. The first time that I ran this on my computer, I did get a warning from my firewall or my antivirus. I'm not a computer expert, so I'm not confident in advising you on what's safe or not. All I can say is that I said yes, and I manually overrode it, and it works fine as far as I can tell. But if that makes you uncomfortable, I'm not sure what to tell you there. When you get SuperSawndz open, you'll be greeted with all this stuff. Up here, you're going to hit File, Open BRSAR. We're going to grab that BRSAR that we just exported from Dolphin. Your first time, it may take a little bit to load because there's quite a bit of information inside of it. Again, this is basically all of the sound effects in the game. Because I've done this a whole bunch, I know where the sound effects we're going to edit for the announcer are, but you may notice character names like Pikachu, Bowser and stuff, and yes, that's where all their sound effects are. So if you'd like, you can open up these folders and listen to them. It has a live preview mechanic, and you can basically just listen to all the sounds in the game if you'd like, and it's actually kind of fun. The ones we're going to be messing around with are down here. It's going to be these four. That's where all of the announcers are. And the important part to know about how this works is you see how all of these have like expand arrows and stuff. So everything is within this group. And this group has a group ID. In this case, it's 220. And you notice, even when I go inside of the group ID is still 220. Once we've done our edits and we add our own files, we're going to save out a 220.sound, and that will be what we add onto the SD card. Kind of like when we downloaded this, it's 223.sound. So when you're doing your edits, don't get too overwhelmed by all of this information and the hexadecimal numbers and weird things. The only thing that you really need to remember is which group ID you're editing. Because I know, we're going to take a look at 220 and this one down here. This has things like free-for-all and stuff, as you'll hear when you click on it.
Free-for-all!
And when you select something over here, this is how you're going to be selecting it to replace. In order to add something or inject it, you're going to go back over here where it has input file. You're going to click on these dots over here. We're going to find a file. It needs to be a .wav file from what I understand, although it does say there's other things available. We're going to choose, for this sound, I'm going to use my own voice that I recorded into a .wav. And once it's loaded up here, you can preview it by clicking play here. But we're just going to have Battle Royale selected, and we're going to insert. It will give you another pop-up, so if you have to take a look around your screen, it was in a weird spot when I first did it. All you need to do in this is just hit OK, and it's going to take care of some...
That's a lot of characters.
It is a lot of characters. It's going to take care of some mixing down to mono and some optimizations and stuff like that. One of the most important things about replacing the sound effects is that the sound that you replace into it needs to be roughly the same length because of the way that each of these has a unique position in the file, in like the hexadecimal where it's actually looking for it. If you made this way too long, like if this was a 7-second sound effect instead, probably Brawl would crash and it wouldn't work. It can be a little bit more, like this one, I believe before, it's closer to like 1.6. So this one's a bit longer and that's all right, but if you have too much, it's definitely going to crash. So try to aim for a sound that's similar or less. Less is good, but you know, exactly the same would be technically the best.
Damn, that's a lot of characters.
Now that we've added my wonderful voice acting into here, go back up and hit the menu, and we're going to just save this off. You have it selected, and we have our group ID 220. Hit Create Sound. This will prompt you to save it somewhere, and we're going to save it on our desktop as, surprise, surprise, 220.sound. And we'll save it. It will tell us that it's successful. So now we have the 223.sound that we downloaded, and also a custom that we just made, 220. But that's not fun enough. We also need to use Yugioh, because Yugioh. Actually, here's a little quiz. Let's take a look here. Which group ID should this go in? You can pause and take a moment. Alright, it's 221. So if that holds up, we should be able to go into SuperSawndz and go to 221. And this should be where the files we need to replace are.
Go!
And it is. So if you want to download a pack off the internet and you're like, oh man, it would be cool if, like, you know, I downloaded that pack, but then I replaced a couple things in it, but where do I need to go and find it? The name itself tells you what the group ID is, so you can kind of reverse engineer it that way. We're going to select Go, and we're going to open the go.wave. Then we're going to hit Insert. Okay. Beautiful. Then we're going to hit one. Sorry. And hit Open. Insert. Okay. Two. That's a little bit, tedious, but you get pretty fast at it when you do it. And 3. Everyone's second favorite number. Insert. Okay. So we should have...
It's time to ready.
There you go. And that should work pretty well. With that done, then you just go up again to the group and hit the Create Sound. We're going to go to the desktop, and we'll save this as 221.sound. And it will export that. And that's all you need to do. When you're working with SuperSawndz, you're just going to go through here, find cool sound effects that you like, replace them using this, insert it, grab the group, create your sound, throw it on your SD card, as we're about to take a look at now. So it's not too hard, but it does take a little bit of time and setup. But that's kind of what you want when you're making a custom setup, right? So have some fun, find some sound effects that you like, and throw them in. We have our files. Where do they go? How do we play them? Pop open your Dolphin. User, load, back into your SD card. We're going to private, we, app, RSBE, PF, and this is the fighter folder that we had in the last video. Within the PF folder, we need to add a new one. We're going to call it SFX. And inside of this, you just got to drag and drop or copy or whatever you'd like to do your sounds into there. And that's all you got to do. Now that it's in there and you have that file, or not file replacement code, but that code Soundbank replacement engine, it will now successfully find these and inject it into your game. We need to go back into Dolphin first, though, because the final step is we need to pack that SD card up, like we showed in the last video. So go into your options, configurations, the Wii tab, and pack SD. I'll take a second, and you'll be good to go. Okay, before we crack into Gecko, let's do a double check that we did everything. We continued on from Dolphin, that we built in the last video. We got BrawlBox in case you didn't have it, and we added in a new code to our SD card. So that was done. Then we used SuperSawndz to create some .sound files, and we added those onto our SD card. Awesome. This BRSAR file, we don't need it anymore, and we can always get it back from stealing it off the disk. So you don't need that at all. These things were just the work files, so we're all good. If everything worked out fine, then I should just be able to pop open Yugioh, and we will be getting back into the demonstration. So I will hit full screen, and hopefully, if everything was successful, we should have some custom sounds. Let's take a look. The suspense. If you add way too much, it will freeze right after the strap screen. It kind of looks like it hangs forever. Just so we can hear it better, I'm going to pop over into the options and just turn down the music a little bit. A little bit more. Just so we can hear my wonderful voice acting. And if you ever wondered, what would WACKA Alpaca sound like if he was the announcer in Smash? Well, here you go.
God damn, that's a lot of characters.
And that is a lot of characters. And that's not even an extended CSS. Damn, we're going to get into some crazy stuff. Hundreds of characters. And that's going to be the perfect announcer to bring us to that. Now we got to test that that 223.sound we added in is working. That one has different sounds for the characters when it calls their name. So if you ever wondered why they didn't add Roy into Brawl, well, they can't have two Roys in the game, and I didn't know this, but the Pokemon trainer's name is... Did anyone else know that? I mean, I thought his name was like Ash or something, but no, it was Roy the whole time. So yes, that was successful too. We're gonna pop Mario, and we're gonna pop some Rob, and we're gonna get into some... Oh, did you see that smack? Blue eyes, white Mario, am I right? Alright. Everything's successful. We have custom sound effects. They are wonderful. And you can take this as far as you want. You can add things, you could remove things. Maybe you like, you know, the Japanese sound effects, or maybe you only like a couple of the Japanese sound effects. Like, oh, I want, you know, maybe Marth to be in Japanese, but none of the other characters, or, you know, whatever you're thinking would be cool. I've had some fun messing around with it, and although it was a little bit complicated to get it set up the first time, once you know what you're doing and your way around SuperSawndz, it's not too bad. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you for sticking with me through it. If you have questions, leave a comment below and I'll try to help you out. If you have an idea for a new kind of tutorial that you'd like to see, shout it out, and we can take a look at those things together. I hope you've been having fun modding Brawl. Please go check out the Brawl Vault, find some inspiration, make some cool stuff. Anyway, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. Thanks again for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.